Rituals pertaining to last rites. Pitra Yagya. Prithvi requested Lord Varaha to define the meaning of Pitra Yagya, rituals pertaining to last rite, and its significance. Lord Varaha replied, Sage Nimi was the first person to perform the rituals of Pitra Yagya after the death of his son Atreya. Sage Atreya is famous for his penance which he did for 10,000 years. When Atreya died, his father Nimi was filled with grief. Nimi tried his best to overcome his sorrow but to no avail. He mourned his son's death for 3 consecutive nights. He thought that perhaps the performance of Shradha rituals would be the best means to get rid of his sorrow. So he decided to perform the Shradha rituals on the 12th day of Magh. On that day, he invited many Brahmins and fed them with the same delicacies which Atreya would have liked to eat. He performed all the rituals well within a day which would otherwise have taken a week to perform. He also performed the rituals of Pimdan by donating cereals, vegetables and fruits. While performing the rituals of Pimdan, he took some kush grass in his hands and after pointing it towards south chanted Atreya's name and Gotra. In the night, Nimi sat on the seat of deerskin underneath which kush grass had been spread. He then tried to concentrate on the tip of the nose. But in spite of all his efforts there was no sign of mental peace. He was so desperately seeking and thought of his dead son continued to torment him. Nimi was troubled by a guilt that perhaps he had set a bad precedent by performing the rituals of Pimdan because nobody in the past had ever performed the rituals. He was worried as to what would the coming generation think of him. He was so much troubled by the thought that he could not sleep for the whole night. Next morning he got up, still worried. He remained in a disturbed state of mind for many days. At last, when it became too much for him to handle, he decided to end his life. In the meantime, Sage Narada arrived there and assured him that there was nothing to be worried about as whatever he had done was most appropriate. Narada also convinced him that even his, Nimi's, dead father would vouch for this fact. Nimi remembered his father who had died long ago. His father revealed to him that the rituals which he had performed were in fact the rituals of Pitra Yagya. Describing the importance of Pitra Yagya, Nimi's father told him, the name Pitra Yagya was given by none other than Lord Brahma himself, who was the first one to perform the rituals. Later on, Lord Brahma had described the rituals to Narada, and this is why Narada was convinced that you had committed no wrong. Nimi's father then described as to what should be done with regard to the person who lay dying. When the death approaches, a person loses his consciousness and becomes extremely fearful. At that time, a Brahman should constantly study the scriptures so that he could die in peace. Donating a cow helps to pacify the soul of a dead person. If sacred mantras are whispered in the ears of a dying person, he dies peacefully. When the death seems imminent, a morsel of madhupak, mixture of curd, water, honey and clarified butter, should be kept in the mouth of the dying person. While doing this, one should pray to the Almighty to liberate the dead man's soul. The dead body should then be carried and kept under a tree where it is purified by smearing ghee, oil, perfumes, etc. It is then carried to cremation ground and kept at the bank of a river, feet pointing towards south. After this, the dead body should be bathed by remembering all the sacred places of pilgrimage. It should then be kept on the pyre, feet pointing south. The pyre should be lit and the following prayer should be said: O Agnideva, I pray to you to burn all the sins committed by this person so that he attains to heaven. Now, circumambulation around the pyre is made and the pyre is lit towards the head side. After consigning the dead body to flames, the rituals of Tarpan and Pimdan are performed. All the people assembled there should purify themselves before returning home. The period starting from the time the dead body is consigned to flames till the next 10 days is called Ashocha. It is applicable to all the relatives coming from the same gotra of the deceased. Ashocha and Pimdkalpa. Ashocha means impurity, so it is the period during which the son of the deceased is considered to be impure. The period begins from the day on which the death has occurred and continues for the following 10 days. Varaha Pimdan means offering certain kind of food to the deceased in the belief that it would satiate his soul. Lord Varaha, while describing about the rituals which are supposed to be performed during the period of Ashocha and also the rituals of making Pimdan, told Prithvi, the observer of Shradha rituals should take his bath in a river on the third day from the day on which death has occurred. After taking his bath, he should offer 3 pindas, consisting of cereal flour, as well as 3 palmful of water into the river in the name of the deceased. On the 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th days, he should make offerings of 1 pind and 1 palmful of water in the name of the deceased. He should never make offerings of the pindas at the same place. On the contrary, he should select different spots for this purpose. On the 10th day he should get his hair tonsured and change his clothes. His relatives, same gotra, should take their bath after applying an ointment prepared from sesame seeds, amla and oil on their bodies. Ekadishta Shradha is performed on the 11th day. For this ritual to be performed, the concerned person should first purify himself and then offer pimt to the deceased person as well as other mains. The rituals of Ekadishta Shradha are same for all the 4 castes. The Brahmins should be invited and fed on the 13th day. While feeding the Brahmins, a religious vow, sankalpa, is taken in the name of the deceased person. For the purpose of offering, pind, an altar should be made at river bank or any other suitable place. The rituals can be performed either facing south or east. Offering 64 pindas is considered to be ideal. Pimdan can also be made under a peepal tree, but the place should be well protected from the reach of animals like dogs, cock, pigs, etc. It is believed that if these animals visit the place where Pimdan is being made, then it becomes difficult for the soul to attain liberation. The rituals of Pimdan should be performed at a pure place, otherwise there is a fear of soul going to hell. The name and the gotra of the deceased person should be pronounced while performing the rituals. After the rituals are complete, all the assembled persons may sit down to have their meal. Donating things like an umbrella, clothes, cereals, ornaments to the Brahmins are believed to be auspicious. The flawed Shradha and its prevention. Prithvi requested Lord Varaha to describe about the mistakes committed during Shradha rituals and how they could be prevented. Lord Varaha replied, it is a grave sin to partake of a meal meant for the soul of the deceased person. Anybody who has committed this sin should atone for his sin by observing a fast for full day and a night. He also has to perform many other rituals like taking bath in a river flowing eastward, performing tarpan, making offerings of sesame seeds into the fire, shanti path, mangal path, etc. Partaking of pachagavya, a mixture of cow's milk, cow's urine, cow dung, curd and charified butter, or madhupak, is also believed to purify such a person. Similarly, showing disrespect to the invited Brahmins is also considered to be a grave sin. Donating articles to unworthy Brahmins is also considered to be an inappropriate act. The performer of Shradha should refrain from all these acts. Preparation of Madhupak. While describing the method of preparing Madhupak, Lord Varaha told Prithvi, Madhupak manifested from the right half of my body at the time when the process of creation began. This is the reason why it is so pure. Anybody who makes offering of Madhupak in the course of my worship attains to my abode. For the preparation of Madhupak, honey, curd and ghee are mixed in equal proportion. While preparing it, sacred mantras in my praise should be constantly chanted. Giving some Madhupak to a dying man liberates his soul. Description of hell. Nachiketa's experience. Once, Janmejaya asked sage Vaishampayan about Yamrajpuri and its location. He also wanted to know as to what should a man do so that he does not have to go there. Sage Vaishampayan narrated the tale of Nachiketa, one of the few blessed persons to have visited Yamrajpuri with his mortal body. Long ago, there lived a sage named Udgilak. He had a son named Nachiketa. One day, while Udgilak was performing a yagya, Nachiketa arrived there and disturbed him by repeatedly asking, "To whom will you give me?" Sage Udgilak, in a fit of rage, cursed Nachiketa to go to hell. But after he cooled down, he regretted for having cursed his dear son. Nachiketa, being an obedient son, was ready to go to hell. His father tried his best to convince him against doing this, but to no avail. Nachiketa assured his father that he would return safely after visiting Yampurai. Thus, Nachiketa went to Yampurai and met Yamraj, the Lord of Death. He stayed there for some days and witnessed all the events taking place over there. Ultimately, he sought Yamraj's permission to return. When he returned home, his father was extremely delighted to find his son alive. Very soon, the place was thronged by many people and everybody was curious to know about his experiences during his stay in the hell. Nachiketa replied, "Sinners like liars, greedy people, jealous people, calumniators, treacherous, etc., go to hell. Similarly, one who kills a child or a woman, or kills a Brahman, or one who criticizes the Vedas, or lends money on interest, or one who abandons his parents or faithful wife, or one who satirizes his guru, or one who sells liquor, or a Brahman who sells Vedas, goes to hell and tastes the fruits of his sinful actions." Yampuri is made of gold and spread in the area of 1000 yojan. It is well fortified and it is impossible for anybody to trespass its territory. I saw sinners experiencing unbearable torture over there. I also saw couple of rivers flowing there, Pushpolka, at the bank of which there are trees in abundance, and Vavaswati, which flows through the central part of Yampuri. Vavaswati contains divine water which never dries up. Yampuri has two entrances, one through which only virtuous souls like sages and hermits are allowed to enter, and the second through which sinners enter Yampuri. The former entrance is such that even heat loses its quality in its vicinity. The latter entrance is situated in the south and has a large iron gate. I also saw 3 large ditches called Odumba, Avirchim, and Uchavak, which are meant for the sinners. Sinners are also forced to pass through the flames that continuously keep on erupting to the west of Yampuri. I saw a grand assembly hall where truthful and virtuous people live. It is graced by the presence of sages like Manu, Vyasa, Atri, Gautama, Angira, Brigu and others. There, I saw a goddess who is worshipped by Yamraj. The goddess controls all the functions of the world. I also saw the ferocious Kala. He possesses extreme anger and is very powerful. Time does not have any influence on him, as the result of which he enjoys eternal youth. I also saw various types of demons and giants in the hell. I saw many messengers of Yamraj punishing the sinners. Some were beating the sinners with sticks in their hands, while some sinners were being forced to enter fire. I saw all the sinners wailing and repenting for their sinful deeds. Many sinners were kept at a very dark place where there was no light. Those who had committed graver sins were put in boiling oil. I saw many sinners being given all sorts of severe punishment. I saw a place where iron nails were spread all around. This was the place where people who breached the modesty of women were given punishment. I saw 10 different hells: Tapta, Mahatapta, Rauv, etc. Each of the latter is more ferocious than the former. The sinners are sent to all these hells on the basis of the gravity of their sins. Yamraj himself instructs Chitragupta on the punishment to be given to these sinners. Karma Vipak means the fruits one reaps according to his or her karma. While continuing with the description of various aspects of hell, Nachiketa told the assembled sages at Yampuri, Chitragupta goes through the record of all the deeds committed by a man when he was alive and brings into the notice of Yamraj. Yamraj then decides upon the punishment to be given to the concerned soul. The punishment can be varied, like if the soul was virtuous, then it would be sent to heaven, or the soul may even be made to take birth as a tree, or an animal, or any other creature. Sinners, like those who had remained disinclined towards any kind of virtuous deed, or those who had abandoned their faithful wives, were sent to the hell named Rauv. The souls of virtuous people were sent to the heaven. Those who had extreme attachment to women took rebirth as human beings. People who had attained martyrdom while fighting a battle were sent to Indrapuri. Those who had engaged themselves in virtuous deeds throughout their lives were rewarded for their good deeds. Virtues of chastity. First of all, the area is purified by coating it with cow dung, after which a black deerskin is spread on it along with kush grass. 2 pots, one large and the other a small one, are placed side by side. These pots are filled with sugarcane juice and symbolize Rasadrenu and the calf. 4 sugar canes symbolizing the 4 legs of Rasadrenu are fixed at 4 corners. After that, one small silver piece is placed at the base of each of the sugar canes symbolizing hoofs. Rasadrenu is then adorned with colorful cloths and flowers. Again, 4 small pots filled with sesame seeds are kept at the 4 corners near Rasadrenu. After the worship is accomplished, Rasadrenu is donated to a Brahman. A person who donates Rasadrenu is liberated from all his sins, and all his ancestors as well as the generations to come attain to the heaven. Liberation from sins. Narada asked Yamraj about the reason why joy was so elusive to human beings. He also wanted to know about the reasons for man's sorrows. Yamraj replied, man's destiny is defined by his own actions. He has to taste the fruits of his actions. He has to taste the fruits of his each and every actions. So when a man finds himself amidst sorrows, he must realize that he is reaping the fruits of his past actions. If a man commits virtuous deeds, then joy is experienced, but sinful deeds invite sorrows and miseries. Desires force a man to take countless births. A man takes birth on the basis of his past karmas. God does not interfere in this matter. So, only foolish people curse God for their miseries. They forget that their sorrows are of their own making. A man can liberate himself from sins by engaging in virtuous deeds and abstaining from sinful deeds. A man should perform his duties with a sense of detachment, because attachment results into the transmigration of the soul. Lord Brahma has declared that Shishuma Chakra is the symbolic expression of his own self. Anybody desirous of getting liberated from his sins must make an image of this chakra and worship it. One who visualizes this chakra within his body, too, becomes liberated from his sins. Mental worship of various planets, Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, Saturn, Mars, etc., visualized at the various points of this chakra helps a man to become liberated from all the sins. Similarly, practicing pranayam for 100 times helps a man to become liberated from all the sins. The most easiest way to become liberated from sins is by engaging oneself in the servitude of a cow. This deed is as virtuous as making pilgrimages to all the sacred places together. Observing fast on Ekadashi also helps a man to become liberated from his sins. Having finished his narrations, Nachiketa looked at the sages, who were listening with rapt attention. The sages thanked Nachiketa for enlightening them on the sacred place called Yampuri. Miscellaneous stories. Gokarneshwar, the famous battle of Thakamaya, had ended. The deities, after having defeated the demons, had once again regained the control of heaven. Lord Brahma, being satisfied with the positive outcome of the war, was engrossed in his meditation when Sanat Kumar arrived and asked, "O Lord, I am anxious to know about the origin of three famous Shiva Linga, Sukta Gokarn, Dakshan Gokarn and Shringeshwar. What made Lord Shiva to take the form of a deer, Gokarn? Please enlighten me on all these subjects." Lord Brahma replied, "The northern peak of Mandarachal mountain is famously known as Munjavan. This place is divinely beautiful, and the stones and rocks over there glitter like diamonds. It has many rivers, lakes and springs. The atmosphere over there is so serene that even the deities are tempted to have their abodes at that place. This sacred place is graced by the presence of Sthanu Maheshwar. Nandi, the lord of all the ganas of Shiva, was a virtuous Brahman in Treta Yuga. Once, he did an austere penance to realize Lord Shiva. The penance lasted for 1000 years. At last Lord Shiva became pleased and appeared before him. Lord Shiva blessed Nandi with an appearance similar to him, Shiva. Lord Shiva said, "From today onwards you will be blessed with 3 eyes just like me. You will be worshipped by the deities and demons alike. You will be immortal, and time and age will have no effect upon you. You are being granted with the lordship of all my ganas. It will be your duty to stand guard at the entrance of my dwelling place." Lord Shiva then informed Nandi that in a short time the deities would be visiting him. Nandi, due to some reason, Lord Shiva had pledged not to give deities an opportunity to see his physical form. So, after blessing Nandi, Shiva disappeared and went to live in Shleshmatak forest in the form of a deer. Nandi was unaware of this fact. Meanwhile, after being blessed by Shiva, Nandi had attained a divinely radiant form. When the deities saw Nandi possessing 3 eyes instead of 2, they immediately understood that this could not have happened without the blessing of Lord Shiva. All the deities arrived at Munjavan peak and requested Nandi to reveal Shiva's whereabouts. Nandi expressed his helplessness and told them that he was not aware where Shiva went after blessing him. He requested the deities to find out Shiva on their own. The deities searched for Shiva in all the 3 worlds but could not find him. I, Lord Brahma, was also present in the search team of the deities. I sat down to meditate. In the deep state of meditation, I came to know that Shiva was living in the form of a deer in Shleshmatak forest. I revealed this fact to the deities. All the deities then went into the Shleshmatic forest and recognized Shiva living in the form of a deer. The deer, Shiva, had one horn on its head. All the deities ran towards the deer with the desire of catching hold of it. Indra held the topmost part of the horn with a firm grip while I, Lord Brahma, held its middle portion. Similarly, Lord Vishnu held the lower part. Very soon, the horn got uprooted because of the force which was being applied on it. Lord Shiva vanished out of our sight. We were left behind with 3 pieces of horn in our hands. We cursed ourselves for our bad luck. Suddenly, we heard Shiva's voice instructing us to install those pieces of horns at that very place and worship them. The upper part of the horn became famous as Uttar Gokarn, while its middle portion became famous as Dakshin Gokarn. The part of the horn, which Vishnu installed, became famous as Sringeshwar. All these 3 places have incomparable religious significance and are situated in Nepal. Shleshmatic forest is situated at the distance of 2 miles from the famous Pashupatinath temple. Sanat Kumar thanked Lord Brahma for enlightening him on these secret topics. The means of Vishnu realization. Once, sage Agastya narrated the following tale to King Bhadrashva. One day, Narada went to Lord Vishnu and asked about the means by which a devotee could realize him. Lord Vishnu replied, "Those who worship me by chanting the mantras of either Purusha Sukta or Vedic Samhita can certainly realize me. Those who perform oblation according to the rituals of Pancharatra can also have my divine glimpse. But the rituals of Pancharatra Yagya can be performed only by the Brahmins. All the rest of the castes can realize me by devotion, chanting my name and making pilgrimage to holy places." Sage Agastya, while giving discourse to King Bhadrashva, also predicted that sinners would outnumber the virtuous ones in Kali Yuga and said, people would abandon their respective dharmas, and the caste system would become extinct. Lord Vishnu, the Almighty God, once, Sage Agastya had organized a grand yagya in which he had invited all the deities and sages. Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva also went there. Agastya was puzzled as to who was the most superior among all 3 of them. He asked Lord Shiva in this regard. Lord Shiva replied, "One who is worshipped by performing oblation, one who is the source of this universe and into whom it ultimately merges, is none other than Lord Janardhana. So he should be worshipped first of all. He is the only one who expresses himself in 3 forms: Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Rajas Guna is predominant in Lord Brahma along with some quantities of Sattva Guna and Tamoguna. Lord Brahma has manifested from the navel of Lord Vishnu. Tamas Guna is the dominant quality in me, Rudra, with little bit of Sattva and Rajogunas. Narayan is the embodiment of pure Sattva Guna. In Satya Yuga, he is worshipped by the means of meditation. During Treta Yuga, he is worshipped by the means of oblation. During Dwapar Yuga, he is pleased by nothing but the rituals of Pancharatra. During Kali Yuga, people will worship him by various means. Lord Shiva's revelations had completely satisfied Sage Agastya. Sage Gautama curses the Brahmins. There were many sages present at the yagya organized by Agastya. Some of them asked Lord Shiva as to why he had created some scriptures which appeared so confusing to human beings. Lord Shiva revealed to them that he had done so to protect the Brahmins from the curse of Sage Gautama. Then he narrated the incident as it had happened. During ancient times, Sage Gautama did an austere penance in the Dandakaranya forest. Lord Brahma became pleased and gave him some divine seeds capable of producing eternal crops. Gautam then went to Saptasiring mountain and made his hermitage there. He sowed the seeds and became pleasantly surprised when he saw rice grains sprouting up within few moments. He lived there happily with his disciples. In course of time, the whole country was struck by famine except the place where Gautam had his hermitage. One day, few sages arrived at Gautam's hermitage. Gautam treated them with all the respect. These sages enjoyed the hospitality of Gautam and stayed at his hermitage till the famine phase was over. Then they decided to go back to their respective native places. When they sought Gautam's permission, he requested him to stay for few more days. The sages then decided to use deceitful means for taking Gautam's permission. They created a superficial cow with the help of their illusionary powers and left it near the hermitage of Gautam. Gautam was very pleased to see that cow. He eulogized it by sprinkling water on it. Hardly had he finished his act than the cow died. All those wicked sages arrived there and cursed Gautam for killing an innocent cow. They told him that they could never live along with a person who had killed a cow. Gautam then requested those impostors to tell about the means by which he could become absolved from the heinous sin he had committed. The sages told him that the cow would become alive once Ganga water was sprinkled on its body. Gautam once again did a tremendous penance to please Lord Shiva. When Lord Shiva appeared, he requested him to give a lock of his hair. Lord Shiva agreed to give a lock of his hair to Gautam. Gautam then went to the spot where the cow's body was lying. He sprinkled some water emanating from the hair. The illusionary cow disappeared within a moment and in its place was created a river. Right then, the Sapta Rishis arrived there and blessed Gautam. Meanwhile, Gautam realized that a wicked prank had been played on him by those wicked sages. He cursed those wicked sages that they would become bereft of the knowledge of Vedas and also that they would no longer be entitled to perform the Vedic rituals. The Sapta Rishis requested Gautam to have mercy on those unfortunate Brahmins. Gautam then declared that his curse will come true only in Kali Yuga and those Brahmins will not be affected by his curse in all the remaining 3 yugas. The Sapta Rishis came to me and informed me about whatever had happened to those unfortunate Brahmins. I created Shiva Samhita from my breath, which is similar to Vedas as far as the importance of rituals are concerned. I did this for the benediction of the Brahmins. I know that Brahmins would fall from grace during Kali Yuga. People would give little respect to the Vedas and create their own scriptures. Confusion would be prevalent and people would discover false religions. Prakruti and Purusha. Once, Lord Shiva, while describing about the incident when he had a divine glimpse of Lord Narayan, told sage Agastya, Purusha is none other than Lord Narayan himself and Prakruti is the medium through which he manifests his powers. I have been fortunate to have a divine glimpse of this Purusha. Lord Brahma, after having created me, instructed me to create. But I did not know how to create. So, I decided to do penance and went into the ocean. In the ocean, I saw an entity who was no more than the size of a thumb. He was Purusha himself and I immediately recognized him. I started meditating on the form of that almighty Purusha. Suddenly, 11 more entities emerged before me. They were all very radiant and the water had become hot on account of the heat emanating from their bodies. I asked them as to who they were, but they did not give any reply and went out of my sight. The next moment, I saw an extremely handsome man. I asked him about his identity and also about the 11 entities whom I had seen few moments ago. Those entities were the 11 Adityas and had gone to help Lord Brahma in the process of creation. Then he said, I am Narayana, the omnipresent Lord. I am blessing you with divine vision, so that you can see my divine appearance. When I fixed my glance at Narayan, I was amazed to see the same thumb-sized Narayana standing before me. But now he was no longer having the size of a thumb. On the contrary, he had expanded his body to such an extent that he appeared like a giant. I also saw Lord Brahma sitting on a lotus flower emanating from his navel. I eulogized him with complete devotion. He blessed me and said, you are eternal and nothing is beyond your knowledge. You will be worshipped by the deities. I shall take 12 incarnations in the coming eras and shall worship you in each of my incarnation. Having said this, Lord Narayana disappeared. This was how I saw the divine form of the Purusha Lord Narayan. Bhuvankosh and the islands, all the sages listened with rapt attention to the description Lord Shiva made of the Almighty Narayan. But they had few more queries in store, so they asked Lord Shiva, O Lord of Uma, please tell us about the expanse of the earth, the situation of mountains and the prominent islands. Lord Shiva replied, Buloka is situated on the surface of the earth, while the earth itself is based on Almighty's chest. With the desire of creating the three basic gunas Sat, Raj and Tama, the Almighty Narayan created water first of all and went into Yoganidra. Then a lotus flower manifested from his navel on which was seated Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma then created his Manasputras Sanak, Sanandan, Sanatan and Sanat Kumar, all of whom were enlightened souls. Then Lord Brahma created sages like Daksha etc. Daksha's daughter Shatrupa was married to Manu, from whom she had two sons Priyavrata and Uktanpad. Priyavrat had 10 sons: Anigna, Agnibahu, Med, Meltithi, Dhruva, Jyotishman, Dyutiman, Havya, Vayushman and Savan. He had divided the earth into 7 islands and presented them to each of his 7 sons. Anigna became the king of Jambudvipa, whereas Meltithi, Jyotishman, Dyutiman, Havya, Vayushman and Savan became the rulers of Shatadvipa, Kronch Dvipa, Shalmali Dvipa, Gomd Dvipa, Plaksh Dvipa, and Pushkar Dvipa. Savan had 2 sons Dat and Mahaviti, who were the rulers of Daki and Koyamut provinces respectively. Similarly, Dyutiman had 3 sons Kush, Vidyut and Jimukvahan. Jyotishman had 7 sons Kushal, Manugavya, Pivar, Andhra, Andakrak, Muni and Dandubi. Kush had 7 sons Udvi, Venuman, Ratpal, Manu, Dhriti, Prabhakar and Papil. Meltithi too had 7 sons Nabhi, Shantmaya, Shishir, Mukolam, Nanshiva, Kshemak and Dhruva. Nabhi's wife was Meru Devi, who had given birth to Rishabh. Rishabh was the father of Bharata, upon whom the area lying south of Himalaya mountain is named. Sumti was the son of Bharata. Bharata, after appointing Sumti as his successor, went into the forest to do penance. The names of some prominent kings coming from the lineage of Sumti were Tej, Satsut, Indradyumna, Parmeshti, Pratihrata, Nikat, Anmeta, Abhavugata, Prastota, Vibhu, Prithu, Anant, Gaya, Naya, Virat, Mahavirya and Sudhiman. Sudhiman had 100 sons. This way the population continued to grow. The 4 yugas Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga occur in a cyclic order. Each of the latter follows the former. A Manvanta comprises of 71 Chaturyugas. Jambudvipa, dwelling upon the prominent islands, Lord Shiva told the assembled sages, Jambudvipa is spread in the area of 1 lakh yojan and it consists of numerous janpadads. It is inhabited by Siddhas and Charanas and is blessed with incomparable natural beauty. A total number of 9 Varshas lie within the territory of Jambudvipa, which itself is surrounded by various oceans on all sides. Towards its east and west lie saltwater oceans. Some prominent mountains of Jambudvipa are the Himalaya, the Sumeru, the Hemkut and the Nishad. Territory situated towards east of Sumeru mountain is inhabited by the fair-complexioned Brahmins. Towards its south lie Vaishyas. Shudras live towards the south of Sumeru and the area lying towards its north is inhabited by Kshatriyas. Shakdvipa, its area is approximately twice as compared to Jambudvipa. It is inhabited by virtuous people who are prosperous and who enjoy a long life. They are free from the tortures of old age. This island is covered by oceans on its 2 sides, salt water ocean on one side and Kshiya Sagar, ocean of milk, on the other. The mountain ranges lying in the northern part of this island is known as Udyachal, while Chandragiri is situated in the western part. There are some other mountain ranges like Rajatgiri, Ambaiki, etc. situated on this island. Altogether these mountain ranges total 7 in number and are known as Kulaparvatas. Some prominent rivers flowing through this island are Sukumari, Kumari, Nanda, Venika, Drenu, Ikshumti and Gabasti. There is a large tree named Shak in the central part of this island. This is how this island derived its name. Kushdvipa, this island is twice the area of Shakdvipa. There are 7 prominent mountain ranges in this island which are known as Kulaparvatas, Kumud, Unnat, Drona, Kank, Isha, Mahish and Mandar. There are 7 prominent rivers flowing through the various parts of this island: Pratoya, Shiva, Chitra, Chandra, Vidyulta, Varn and Mahti. This island has got its name from kush grass which are found in abundance in its central part. Kroncha Dvipa, it is twice the area of Kush Dvipa. It has 7 prominent mountain ranges: Kronch, Pavan, Devavrit, Devishta, Devanand, Govind and Punderik. There are also 6 prominent rivers flowing in this island: Gauri, Kumudvati, Ratri, Manojva, Kyati and Pundarika. Kronch Dvipa is surrounded by an ocean of clarified butter, ghee, on all its sides. Shalmali Dvipa, it is double the area of Kronch Dvipa and covers the clarified butter ocean from all sides. There are 7 prominent mountains as well as 7 rivers in this island. This way Lord Shiva disappeared after having finished the narration of all the prominent islands. Trishakti, describing the reason behind the manifestation of Trishakti, 3 goddesses manifesting from the bodies of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Lord Varaha told Prithvi there lived a mighty demon named Andak, who used to torment the deities. After being driven out of the heaven, all the deities sought Lord Brahma's help. Lord Brahma took them to Lord Shiva and requested him to find some solution to the miseries of the deities. Lord Brahma then meditated on the form of Vishnu, who appeared instantly. The powers emanating from the eyes of all the 3 deities got combined and resulted into the manifestation of Goddess Parmeshwari. On the request of the deities, Goddess Parmeshwari created 3 more goddesses from her body: Brahmi, Vishnu Priya and Rudrani. Goddess Brahmi was of fair complexion while Vishnu Priya's complexion was wheatish. Goddess Rudrani appeared extremely ferocious in her dark complexion. Lord Brahma advised Goddess Brahmi to do penance at Shwetgiri mountain. Similarly, Vishnu Priya went to Mandarachal mountain to do her penance, while Lord Shiva advised goddess Rudrani to go to Nilgiri mountain. While Vishnu Priya was doing her penance at Mandarachal mountain, crores of goddesses manifested from her body, prominent among whom were Vidyuta Prabha, Chandrakanti, Suryakanti, Gambhira, Vijaya, Jaya, Jayanti, Aparajita, etc. All these goddesses acted as the escorts of goddess Vishnu Priya, who is also called Vaishnavi. One day, sage Narada visited goddess Vaishnavi and was dumbstruck by her divine beauty. He had never seen such a beautiful woman in his life. On his return journey, Narada met Mahishasur, the mighty demon, who had been blessed by Brahma. Mahishasur had conquered all the three worlds. Narada praised the glory of Mahishasur but went on to add that his majesty was incomplete until he married Vaishnavi. Narada said, "I have never seen such a beautiful woman in my life. She is worshipped by all the sages, Gandharvas, deities as well as other celestial beings. Although you are worthy of becoming her husband, yet the fact is that you cannot have her as your wife until you have conquered the deities and the Gandharvas." After sowing a seed of lust in Mahishasur's mind, Narada went away. Mahishasur vowed to marry Vaishnavi at any cost. Lord Varaha continued with the tale and said, after Narada went away, Mahishasur summoned his ministers Pragas, Vigas, Shankukarna, Vibhavasu, Vidyunmali, Sumali, Pajanya and Krura. When all the ministers arrived, he requested them to find out means so that he could marry Vaishnavi. Pragas, one of the ministers, was very intelligent. He warned Mahishasur against going ahead with his evil designs and said, "This illegal abduction could become the cause for your destruction." Vigas corroborated the statements of Pragas. Finally, everyone agreed that it would be better if Vaishnavi was persuaded to accept Mahishasur as her husband instead of forcefully abducting her. So all of them finally came upon two conclusions. First was to send a messenger to persuade Vaishnavi into marrying Mahishasur, and the second was to defeat the deities in a battle. A demon named Vidyutprabha was sent to meet goddess Vaishnavi. Mahishasur then launched a fierce attack on the deities and defeated them. The deities were forced to flee the battlefield and seek refuge in Brahma Loka. Meanwhile, Vidyutprabha had already reached Mandarachal mountain. Without showing any respect to goddess Vaishnavi, he tried to impress her by narrating the amazing tale of Mahishasur's birth. During ancient times, there lived a sage named Supashva. Once he was doing penance and an ogress named Mahishmati along with her companions arrived at his hermitage. Mahishmati was very much impressed by the grandeur of his hermitage and decided to occupy it. She changed her appearance and became a buffalo. She then started tormenting Supashva, who was initially terrified but finally came to know about her real identity. Supashva cursed her, "You deserve to remain as a buffalo for the rest of your life." Now Mahishmati became extremely terrified and begged for being pardoned. Finally, Supashva took pity on her and said, "You will get liberated from my curse only after you give birth to a calf." Thus Mahishmati started wandering all over the places in the form of a buffalo. Once, while wandering, she reached the bank of river Narmada, where sage Sindhudweep was doing his penance. A significant incident had taken place just few minutes before her arrival. Sage Sindhudweep, being unable to control himself, had ejaculated sperms after infatuated by a beautiful ogress taking bath in river Narmada, which was flowing nearby. The sperms fell on a rock and was eventually washed off by the swift currents of Narmada. As Mahishmati was thirsty, she drank water from river Narmada. While quenching her thirst, She also consumed the sperms, as the result of which she became pregnant. In course of time, she gave birth to Mahishasur, who grew up to be a mighty demon king. The same Mahishasur wants to marry you. After finishing his story, Vidutprabha waited for Vaishnavi's response. Goddess Vaishnavi burst into a loud laughter, and all the three worlds became visible to the messenger, through her opened mouth. Vidutprabha was scarred to the hilt as he realized that the woman was extraordinary and divine. Jayadvarpalika of Vaishnavi told him, "Our goddess has taken a vow of celibacy, hence your master's wish will remain unfulfilled." At last, Vidutprabha went back empty-handed. In the meantime, Narada arrived there and informed goddess Vaishnavi about the deity's defeat at the hands of Mahishasur and requested her to kill the demon. Goddess Vaishnavi ordered her escorts to get prepared for the battle. She then proceeded with a huge army to fight against the demons. In the ensuing battle, Mahishasur's army was severely humiliated. Most of the demons were killed and the survivors fled from the battlefield. A demon named Virupaksh informed Mahishasur of the death and destruction caused by goddess Vaishnavi. Mahishasur was infuriated and came forward to fight the goddess. Goddess Vaishnavi was aware of his might, so she manifested her divine form in all her glory. Now she possessed 10 arms and held lethal weapons like a sword, a bow, a shield, a make, a trident, a chakra, etc. in each of them. She then remembered Lord Shiva, who appeared within a moment. Goddess Vaishnavi requested him to be witness to the fierce battle, which was going to take place. A fierce battle commenced, which lasted for 10,000 divine years. Mahishasur ran helter and skelter, changing his disguise frequently, in order to protect his life, but goddess Vaishnavi chased him wherever he went. Ultimately she killed him at Shatasring mountain by severing his head. All the deities heaved a sigh of relief and praised the glory of goddess Vaishnavi. Similarly, goddess Rudrani, who had manifested from Lord Shiva and had gone to Nilgiri mountain to do her penance, had killed a mighty demon named Ruru. Ruru was a very powerful demon king. He ruled over Ratnapuri, which was situated in the middle of the ocean. He had become invincible on account of a boon received from Lord Brahma. After being defeated by him, all the deities went to seek the help of goddess Rudrani. Goddess Rudrani, who is also known as Chamunda, finally killed Ruru, the dreaded demon. Having completed the tale, Lord Varaha blessed Prithvi and went back to his abode. If you enjoyed this audiobook, please like and subscribe to be notified of when new audiobooks are uploaded. Thank you for listening and learning. Shanti.